Big words and all that.
Like the Tuesday? Got graduation on Wednesday.
Would you mind, as maybe your last contribution, okay, would you mind leading us in a moment of silence?
I'd love to. Yes.
Thank you.
Again in the summer.
It's fine, when you get back.
Being so rushed.
That summer cruise.
Yes, right. I know I'll be so dead. Oh, it's a busy night.
Brittany, tell me when you're ready. Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody out tonight. Thank you for joining us. This is the Roy City Council meeting for May 16th, 2023. The time is now 5:30 p.m. I want to recognize and welcome that we have Councilmember Scadden. Did I get that right, Randy?
Boy.
Councilmember Jackson, Councilmember Sophie Paul. We're going to excuse Councilmember Wilson. She will not be able to attend tonight, and Councilmember Joe Paul. And we do have our Miss Parker from our Youth Council, so we appreciate her joining us tonight. And I believe this may be the last night for a while as you move into that graduation. We have asked Miss Parker if she would go ahead and lead us for a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. So you lead us?
Yes. Okay, please join us in a moment of silence. Now, if you'll please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Okay. We normally, she's got 15 minutes.
So
Normally,
sorry.
we do public comment period, but if there's something we think we'd like to do up front, I think we could do that before the public comment period. Miss Sophie Paul?
Sure. We just want to talk about Nevaeh. She is the most wonderful person. She is the student by President Roy High and a good friend of my granddaughter's, and we couldn't ask for a better person to be on the council. And sorry, I always cry. And so anyways, want to thank her. It's because of her. We used to only just feed the football team at Roy High, the city. And she came and got on here, and she's not afraid to speak her mind, let me tell you. And she's like, well, what about everybody else? What about the spring sports? What about the debate team, which she has won many awards in that? And why don't we feed them? Why is it just football team? And we're like, well, I don't know. No one's really asked. So guess what? Now we feed all the spring sports, the student government, the band, the choir. I mean, it's because of Nevaeh Parker that we do those things now. We just needed somebody to speak up and voice their opinion and ask. That's how things are done. And Nevaeh has always been such a great leader at Roy High, and our new student body president, Nicole Williams, will take over in her place, who will do a fantastic job too. But we can't thank Nevaeh enough for everything she has brought to this council. We want to give her a gift that she'll remember us by, and we love you. So
Thank you so much.
Sophie, you'd like to make comments?
No, I am excited for what you're going to do in the future.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what you're going to do. Thank you for being here all the time. I know you're super busy. Crazy busy.
So are you. So is everyone.
Well, everybody is, but yeah, it's just fun to have you be a part of this. Like, it's been super fun. So we're super excited, and congrats on everything you're going to do, and good luck at school.
Thank you. I was not expecting this. This was a surprise. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for all you've done. You've done well to represent the school and the residents of the city.
Yeah,
Thank you.
likewise. I definitely see a bright future in store for you and look forward to seeing what the future does hold for you as well. So
Well, I appreciate that. Roy will always be home to me, so I'll be back down here visiting my family and visiting you guys as often as I can. So thank you so much. I'm not going to cry, because if I cry a little bit, then it all floods. I'm like Anne. So this has been the best thing ever. I actually want to be a politician in the future, and so this is kind of the first step to that, and I'll always remember this for sure. So if I ever make it there.
where are you off to? Where's university? Where are you going to
The
see?
University of Utah.
Oh, awesome.
Yep, and I'll be living in dorms up there. So doing like pre-law courses and seeing where that goes. But I really appreciate it, you guys. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
she's a Sterling scholar. She's got a real good head on her shoulders. I can't brag about her enough. So
No more
she will
bragging.
probably be the mayor of Roy one day.
No.
I like that.
No, I think Mayor Dandoy should stay forever. Who agrees? I think everyone agrees.
Well,
Well, I
Well.
appreciate it, you guys. Thank you a lot. The only thing I had was that it's graduation on Monday at 1 p.m. at the D Event Center. So that'll be an awesome time. It's like 2 hours, I believe. We'll try to keep it around there. But even if you don't know anyone, I feel like it's just fun to go to graduation sometimes. So I've gone all the years that I've lived here. So yeah, come support. Thank you all of you. I love you. Love Roy. Go Roy.
great comments. Okay, well, thank you. Okay, we need to go into public comment period. This is an opportunity for anybody who'd like to step up to the mic, give us your thoughts on any topic you'd like to share with us. All we ask is your name and address. Any thoughts, comments? Hey, there we go.
Hi, I am James Green. I live at 3985 South, 2075 West at 84067, Roy, Utah. We just wanted to thank you for allowing for the lights down on 4000. Brought you a thank you note with a bunch of signatures from people in the community that dearly thank you for all that you've done for us. So.
Okay. Appreciate that. Anybody else like to step up with the mic? Thank you. Like to step up the mic and make some comments about this this event? Don't be shy now.
Thank you so
Okay. Share whatever you'd like to share. Okay. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that, and we certainly like the sweet gift that you provided. And we will proudly post the thank you note. And Ross, this has got your name all over it. Okay? 5 weeks and counting. I think there's people out there that have a celebration. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else like to share a thought with you? Kevin?
I'm Kevin Homer. I live at 5398 South, 4000 West here in Roy. I wasn't going to get up. I was going to give you all a break. But I want to offer one piece of advice to anyone that's currently a politician or aspiring to be one in the future. Quote Thomas Jefferson, "The government that governs least governs best."
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Okay. Anybody else like to share a thought or an issue? Okay. We'll go ahead and continue. Thank you for the input and thank you for the gifts. We do have an action item. This one deals with new Parks and Recreation Director. Matt, I think you're going to carry the conversation.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. As you all know, we've had a vacancy in the Parks and Recreation Department in the director position. And I am very excited and happy to introduce Michelle Howard, if we could have her come up. We are very excited for the opportunity to have her as part of our team. We know that she will do great things. So at this time, this is an appointment, so we just need your guys' final vote. So.
Okay. Welcome, by the way. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, can you, before we actually go through the formal process, would you mind just maybe sharing a little bit about you? And if you brought family, introduce us to your family.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have here with me today my little entourage back there, my husband. I'm going to start crying. Anne?
Sorry.
Really? I have my husband and my 2 boys, my sister, Emma, my dad, Kevin, and my stepmom, Marcy.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, well, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, before we do this swearing in, I do need to take a vote. So with that then, do I have a motion then to approve the new Parks and Recreational Director, Michelle Howard? Is that correct?
Mayor, I'd make a motion, we approve Michelle Howard as the new Director of Parks Parks and Recreation.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Randy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Sound like you're a winner. Perfect. Okay, with that, we'll ask Brittany to go ahead and issue the oath of office. Pictures.
The Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of Utah. And that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations. Ms. Howard, I will indicate to you, and I'm sure you have things you have to do tonight and probably for next week as you process, formalize coming to us. Certainly this makes it all official, but tonight we're going to hit the 5-year strategic strategy plan. There'll be a conversation that deals with your department, and you're certainly welcome to join us after this meeting with the work session, but if you don't, I'm sure Lizzie and other team members who more likely will be there, certainly the city managers can bring you up to date. But we're excited about you being part of this. We've got a lot of things happening, and Parks and Recreation is a very, very, very important part of Roy City. And so we're excited to have you part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'm excited to become part of the team and start to work with everybody here and just continue the great things that Roy City has in the Parks and Rec Department, all the facilities, programs, and amenities. So it's going to be great. I'm excited.
Perfect. Okay. Well,
you.
congratulations. Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Okay. Council, any comments before we move on?
I just want to know if she can start like last week. I'm way excited, and you must be cool if you're married to Mike. He's such a great guy.
And is there anybody you don't know that you didn't go to school with? Oh, my heavens. Okay. Well, again, we're excited to have you, Michelle. We do have consideration Resolution 23-12, a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of an interlocal agreement between Roy City and Weber County. I'm not Matt. I believe you're going to talk. Also, Brittany.
So this is it's not working.
No, it is now.
Does it work now?
There you
Okay,
go.
Perfect. This is Resolution 23-12 is just an interlocal agreement between us and Weber County. As you know, we have an upcoming election. That is scheduled very shortly, in about 3 weeks. That is when people can come in and put their names in the hat. But this is the interlocal agreement to have Weber County and Roy City work together to run the elections. It kind of shows the prices that we pay, mainly for the mailers and things where the voting booths will be and stuff like that. So anyway, pretty standard. It's for the next 2 election cycles, but we recommend your approval.
Okay. Council, any comments, questions relative to this resolution?
No,
Okay.
it's pretty typical of what we've done in the past. so.
Yep. So therefore, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 23-12?
So moved.
Thank you, Randy. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. And this is a roll call vote. Brittany?
Councilmember Sophie Paul.
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Councilmember Scadden.
Aye.
Councilmember Joe Paul.
Aye.
Okay. That has been approved. Resolution 23-12 is approved. Okay, let's move on to some discussion items. Brittany, if you can see if you can pull up, I put some charts together relative to this particular Senate bill. I just want to walk through a couple of things with you on it, Council, and ask for any comments or discussion relative to this particular change. I will indicate to you, prior to Steve going to the city planner, Brody, you may have heard the city planner conference they had in Vernal. I did ask him, they need to pick a better spot. Not that it isn't cool out in Vernal, okay? My kids love the dinosaur stuff, okay? But man, I think there was some other places that may have been more exciting, like Park City. He told me he didn't have a vote in that, but I'm just saying is, he went there. I specifically asked him if he would look at this particular bill and talk to the city planners and what they're getting in terms of information to help us, if you will, to kind of figure out how we navigate this thing, because there's a few changes. So as soon as Brittany brings that up, I'd like to talk to you, council, about it, and then and maybe get some direction of how you want to proceed. Mark's going to help us through this process.
Go IT guy, go.
Let me basically just, as he's trying to pull that up, let me just talk a little bit about the first one, the first chart, and we'll see if we can bring it up here. But here's the heart of it. As you well know, council, you voted to approve the authorization to allow internal accessory dwelling units within Roy City. And as a consequence to that, and the next chart will show a little bit about this one, the law got changed in Senate Bill 174 and technically went into effect on the 3rd of May. So it is now legal now. And it basically authorized then and requires then the cities to allow their garage, an individual's garage, to be considered part of a internal accessory dwelling unit. There's no provision within our code that really brings that part out. So what its essence is, if a resident chooses to want to basically put a, for a better word, an apartment inside of their garage, they certainly legally now can do that once the city changes the ordinance to allow that to take place. And but it has to be inhabitable. So it's not simply says, okay, I got a garage. You literally have to make it inhabitable and meet all of the building requirements. That's critical to this discussion. But it does offer an option for residents to consider that. And so the key to this one was really more about just simply modifying a little bit, asking the Planning Commission, because it needs to go through the Planning Commission back to the council, to just consider some language to allow the residents to, under the code, to consider a garage as part of an internal accessory dwelling unit. Okay?
So I have a question along with that, if
Please.
I can, or may. If they do remodeling to their garage and add bathrooms, add rooms, stuff like that, and turn into a living space that wasn't originally intended for a living space, what does that do to impact fees, to sewer? I know there's been discussions about that. What does it do to impact fees to not only wastewater, but, you know, increased use of water,
Yeah.
utility fees?
And interesting, Brody, because we have to work through those components of that. That's part of that process. There are certain restrictions that what we can and cannot do in the bill, surprisingly. But certainly those would be parts of that, because you are basically talking about not only adding more sewer and water demands, but we also have some external elements to that parking, and we'll talk about here in a second. So the key would be is that whatever provisions the city defines in terms of how this will be done, it needs to be in the code. And all we're asking then is to ask the Planning Commission to take that action, to look at it from all sides and come back with a recommendation to the City Council for a final approval.
So it's basically a garage that's connected to your house, though.
Exactly.
So you can't just add on a garage in your backyard and turn that into an apartment.
That is
It has to
correct.
be.
Yeah.
Can you add on to your current garage to make it a bigger apartment? Or does it just have to be the current garage?
Within current building, no.
Right, well, so I'll paint a picture. Like I have got a third car. Could I take and convert my third car into an accessory dwelling unit as long as I put in sufficient plumbing, sewer,
and habitable requirements.
habitable requirements.
That's right.
On how your third garage is structured.
It's adjacent, basically, it's out to the side of the house, but it still shares a bearing wall with the, okay.
That's it.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay.
I know what I'm doing.
But I mean, in order to do that, they'd still have to apply for building permit and go
Correct.
through all the codes, regulations,
That's
and
right.
all that. This is just allowing them to do it where previously it hasn't.
Killing every city in the state of Utah, they have to allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
And that's the thing is we don't have any ability to push back on it because it's being dictated from the state down. It's just how do we take and adopt it into code?
That's correct.
Okay.
So you think they're doing this just because there's not available housing and people are
Yeah.
just going to throw their kids in the garage and have somewhere to live?
I just don't want my wife to throw me in the garage is my concern. So
No, but to your question, and this is certainly part of the affordable housing strategy the legislature's been pushing for a few years now. And they believe that there's an opportunity here to enhance or bring more affordable housing options, okay, to the broader community. And this is just one additive to that process. Are we okay with that? Okay, next chart. I'll go quickly through this one. This one also goes back to internal accessory dwelling units. The issue here is not that the fact is, in fact, the law says that the city has the authority to add a single, or at least one single extra parking space. And our law allows that to take place currently. The only challenge we have here is that it kind of goes a couple of steps further. And the best way I can explain it would be is in the next chart. Brittany, if you can share that next chart. If you look in terms of what our law says today, if the homeowner wants to put an internal accessory dwelling unit on, then they have to, and they're required to provide a parking space. According to the law today, they cannot put a parking space in tandem, and they cannot put a parking place on the side setback or the front setback. So if you look at those three car illustrations there, the current law for an internal accessory dwelling unit would not allow then a homeowner to put a parking spot at those two locations, three locations to be very specific. The law does allow it to be in the backyard. You can do it on what they call the back setback, okay, of the yard. And of course, we do allow parking, okay, on the curb, but a off-street parking is not the curb. It has to be somewhere on the physical property. So the concern I have, and I just want to kind of bring this to light, is the fact is that there are ordinances, and if you read, and I apologize, there's so much in 174, I give you 37 pages of stuff, just put you to sleep. But there are provisions within our code today, and I reference those provisions, that does allow a homeowner to put a parking spot on the side of the side setback, okay, on their lot today. It's just that the internal accessory dwelling unit does not allow that. And I think that might very well be definitely a limiting factor in terms of what the options, if a homeowner wanted to basically put an for a better word, an accessory dwelling unit in their home. Because I'm not sure where they can park unless they do put a parking place in the back of the lot. I would only ask that let's have the Planning Commission take a look at this, okay? They have to look at 174 anyway. Let's have them look at this and see if maybe there might be an opportunity to make some improvements. If nothing else, give the property owner the same rights if they want to put this auxiliary dwelling unit on their property, that at least they can put it on the side, okay, of the house and be authorized to put a single parking place at that location.
Right.
Okay? Any other comments or any questions about that idea? Okay, next chart. This one gets a little bit interesting. I don't want to dwell too much on this one, but this one deals with what's called an administrative land use authority. Now, Joe, you probably remember 6 years ago, we basically, you may have been in the Planning Commission at the time, but we met downstairs. We had the trust attorney join with us. And he made a compelling argument that simply says we got to get the city council literally out of administrative, okay, land authority decisions. And we went through and changed Title 10. And if you go into Title 10, you probably will not find anything in Title 10, the zoning ordinance, that basically talks about the city council having any authority in terms of dealing with that. We have legislative authority, but we don't have administrative authority. But Title 11 did not get touched. And if you went in there today, you're going to find, and it reads it very clear, that in fact the city council has the land use authority. Now, the piece that I want to bring out here is the law, this new code simply says the city council, and they refer to us as the municipal legislative body, has to designate a administrative land use authority for the city. And it can't be the city council, and it cannot be one of us. It can't be the mayor. It can't be any of you. That's what the law says. So the question then becomes, is that we think of the city, we think in the city where that administrative land use authority would be, and it really resides within normally two places. Either you give it to the planning commission, and the planning commission then has the administrative land use authority, or you give it to the city planner. And the idea here is I went through literally every code within Roy City trying to find out who or where the code authorizes and directs who the administrative land use authority or the land use authority is. And to be honest with you, the only place within all of our code, or it's not in any of the code, the only place it basically says that the planning commission is in fact the land use authority is actually on the planning commission's website. Just a little blip in there that says, hey, that they are it. But that's not in the code. And more importantly, there are provisions within the code that you have designated because of the ordinance that says on a couple of things, the city planner is actually the land use authority. And I pointed those out in the paper. So here's the point. You have to make that decision. Now, if you say bring it back in June, we can certainly bring it formally back in June, but I just want to let you know that the city council needs to designate who is the land use authority, administrative land use authority for Roy City. Are you okay with all that? Okay? Because it needs to be done, and the law makes it clear. Now, I want to talk briefly about Title 11. Now, Title 11 is our subdivision, and if you read the Senate Bill 174, this is about subdivision. It's talking about the ordinances. And so it talks a little bit about the whole issue about the land use authority and specifically about what they're trying to do administrative land use decisions. And I will tell you, Council, everything I'm reading in this, Brody, I'm not sure if you had a chance to read it. Matt, I'm not sure if you had a chance to read it. But the fact is, everything I'm reading says they want to streamline this. They want to accelerate the process by which an individual comes in with a recommendation to get a subdivision application. They're pushing to get that thing done. And certainly, if you look at it from that perspective, then I would say to you there's a good argument, Council, that you might want to consider in terms of making the decision of administrative land use authority, giving all that to the city planner. That's a bold statement, but I will tell you it would expedite, so much, because the way the law reads today, and I can paraphrase, but here's what it says. This is pretty bold. I've never seen anything like this. It says, with respect to preliminary applications to subdivide land, an administrative land use authority may receive public comment and hold no more than one public meeting. Now, let me just tell you what that means. If it meets the current ordinance in the application, does the planning commission need to really approve it if it already meets the standard? And if it doesn't, and they don't, then the city planner can simply, within the office, fill it out and approve the preliminary plans. And they can also do the final, if you really look at what it says. And what that will do, it'll shave weeks off of the application process, weeks, and really go to the heart of what this new law is actually trying to do. I'll give you an argument. So when we meet again, when we have to make that decision, but I'll give you an argument that there's a good argument that says the city planner ought to be that administrative land use authority. Any comments about that piece?
I was just wondering how much land we have available in Roy City left where we could build a subdivision.
Well, subdivisions are interesting because, and I always, until I read the law, I always thought subdivisions were residential.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
The fact of the matter is, if you go down on the corner of Midland and 4000 on the north side, they just put a whole new industrial area in there, and that's a subdivision. If you look how they did it, nice Starbucks, okay, 7-Eleven, AutoZone. Look how it's designed. It's a subdivision. It just so happens that it's a non-residential subdivision. Now, interesting under this law, which is part of the challenge we face, that one does not have a requirement under this law, because this law says the only things this law is applicable to is single-family residential, two-family residential, and townhouses. They've excluded all other subdivision requirements from having to follow these changes. And if you don't think that's going to be a challenge, now you're talking about two complete sets of different processes that we've allowed, which is one of the things I'm going to ask the Planning Commission to come back would be, is there an argument to simply fold everything into it? Everything, including developments like that. And to your point, directly to the south of there, if you look behind the McDonald's, behind the Maverick Station on 4000 and Midland, there's a whole commercial property back in there that's zone commercial that will be treated like a subdivision and hopefully developed as a subdivision for commercial opportunities. Either that or the city council will change the code on that at some point in time and make it all residential. But it's there, and at some point in the future, you could see, Roy City could see, you may never see, but Roy City could see an application to go ahead and put commercial development in there, and we'd have to build a subdivision, subdivide it, and put that into where they can put different businesses in there, which is really what the intent of that was.
So down by the track station, this will come in when we start developing down there.
Ish.
Yeah, and that's a subdivision discussion that's also going to take place.
Right.
And now the question is going to be, and it really is the heart of this conversation, can we put a administrative land use authority actually over a lot of that to help expedite those application processes, which was really the intent of this law.
Yeah, on the flip side too, it feels like it's kind of bridging two disciplines, economic development and city planning. Is there precedent to make the land use authority in one of those buckets rather than another?
And certainly they're saying within the context of this law, the only requirement for administrative land use authority is only in the bucket that talks about single-family residential,
Right.
two-family residential, or townhouses.
Okay.
That's the only thing the law says. Okay. But you, and I referenced a comment in here from what the Utah League of Cities and Towns has said. They strongly recommend that maybe what you consider is consolidating all of the subdivision requirements in Title 11 and put them all under that. You have the authority to do that, but you have to do it at least for those particular residential units under the law. So I'm seeing some planning commissions opportunities to come to the city council and come with some ideas of what they would like to do, and the city council will be required to change
So you
those.
were recommending like Steve to be over this then?
Only because if we do that, which he's already authorized under the law on a couple of different areas, we'll just be expanding that, then technically he could approve a lot of subdivision applications in his office. And as long as it meets the context of the current ordinance, if it's outside the ordinance, it's a different conversation. But within the context of the ordinance, he could do that, and he could expedite significantly
Right.
these subdivision application opportunities.
Well, that makes more sense to me, because what if we just serve 4 years and we're done, and we're in charge of that, and then you have to get somebody else in there. So get someone who has a permanent position, who's going to stick around for more than 4 years and has the knowledge of it. That just makes sense to me.
I think there's a real opportunity for that, and I'm asking relative to this discussion to let's direct the Planning Commission to bring back to the City Council as soon as they can, okay? Because, by the way, this law, best I can tell, and Matt Wilson would probably have to define that, but everything I'm reading right now says this law goes into effect on the 1st of February of 2024.
No, it's actually in effect already.
Okay, so this portion is in effect?
Yeah, so the
Okay.
February date was in regards to we have to have our moderate income housing plan.
Okay,
done by-
so that component.
Uh-huh.
So that's a pretty bold statement, because now we're already behind the line and the curve on this, and needless to say, this Planning Commission's got to move out on a couple of these things. A great comment, Matt. I didn't catch that part. Last couple of thoughts, council. There are some terms in there, next chart. There are some terms in there talking about review cycles. Next chart. I'm a little ahead of you, sorry about that. It talks about review cycles. It talks about improvement plans. These are terms that are not found currently within our ordinances. And all I would ask then from this recommendation would be is let the Planning Commission take a look at this and see if in fact we can incorporate these within our ordinance, that we're talking the same language. But more importantly, there could very well be terms that we're using that are these, just a different way of saying it. And if that's the case, they can just connect this up rather easy. But to follow this new code, this new law, it may require some changes. Next chart. Interesting enough, they put some real restrictions on us. I think it's the next one. Okay, next one. Sorry, I'm pushing through this. They're basically saying we have 15 days. Under the new law, the city has no longer than 15 days after the date of which the applicant submits a complete preliminary subdivision that we have to basically provide a response. There's nothing within ordinance that even talks to that. In fact, what we put in there is that they have so many days after we do this that they have to report back to us. This one changes all that. Now we have to do it and be within that. So we need to incorporate this 15-day requirement on preliminary subdivisions applications. And that's the same with the next one. Brittany, if you'll push the next one. This one talks to, this one says for the final review and approval of the subdivision plans, they have to be back to them by the 20th, within 20 days, or then it goes into an interesting, it's kind of a, for a better word, it's a review panel. And that one kind of caught me because I read that over and over, and finally the league come out with something, gives a little bit of clarification on that. So the last one talks about putting in about 15 days that we have to have a response back for us to basically respond to a preliminary subdivision application, and this one says for the final we have to have it within 20 days. And then it says there's a dispute. If there's a dispute, there's some requirements under this dispute. All of this has to go back to the Planning Commission. They have to flush this out and bring it back to you to make a final change to the ordinance. And that's really the heart of this. You have to see the final. And what our city attorney is saying is we're already behind the curve on this, so we got some work to do. I'll be off the plate here in a second. Next chart. This one got me cold. I apologize because I didn't see it. Today, within Title 11, if you want to read it, I'm not asking you have to, but certainly something you can do, the Title 11, it basically says that Roy City Code 11.202, the concept plan application meeting, we are making that mandatory. So the applicant has to literally go through the review process with the city manager and the review committee. According to the new law, and I'm just reading what it says this: if an applicant requests a pre-application meeting, the municipality shall within 15 days after the request schedule the meeting. But the Utah League of Cities and Towns says this. This is their response to this particular portion of law. Remove any mandates for the concept plan review. In the new law, concept plan reviews cannot be mandated. It can be an option, strongly encouraged, and agreed to by the applicant, but the city cannot tell the applicant they have to have a meeting. Our law today, under concept plans, says they have to have a meeting. It's mandatory. That needs to be changed. And that's my assessment, but the city attorney has to review that before the planning commission just to make sure what I think I'm reading is in fact right, Matt. So if you can take a peek at that. Almost done here. Chart. Okay, this one, just to come out, things also that come out of this particular Senate bill that has gone into play. Here is what this new panel of experts that we're supposed to have the review, they're suggesting. The panel of experts has to be licensed engineers, and they have to meet these requirements. Today we have what's called an appeal authority. So if there's an appeal from an applicant, we put it through an appeal authority process. Under this law, it basically says it's different. You have to go through this panel. And to what it says, we're required then to change our laws to incorporate this panel process within our code. So that'll be something, I think, Matt, if you can help us with to make sure we understand that clearly. And then it talks about codifying engineering standards. I didn't see those, Brody, to be honest with you, but they could very well be there. So they're saying you have to do that. And be honest with you, Ross, this one caught me cold. We can't have roads wider than 32 feet. Exceptions would maybe a cul-de-sac. I don't know if that's an issue, Ross, to be honest with you, but any new building, you can't have them over 32 feet. Okay, so, wow, this is really kind of, there's a lot in here. So please, if we can just take one look at this, if you're okay, we can go ahead and get the planning commission through the city to start looking at this and getting some comments back to us so that you can start making some approval changes to the existing ordinance. You okay with that? Okay. I didn't want to spend a lot of time, but I just want to make sure you guys were okay that we move forward with that. Okay, let's go ahead. We got, next topic is going to talk about public restrooms. And Randy, I think you're going to lead the conversation here.
Absolutely. Let's shift gears and talk about a potentially crappy situation. So this came about because people were complaining on Facebook about access to restrooms at Roy West Park. Kudos go out to staff. I actually emailed Lizzie on a Saturday, not expecting a response, and I had a response back within 15 minutes. Basically, what we have taken and done is last year we had the public restrooms actually open from March until roughly June. And we made the strategic decision to shut them down because it had cost us over $12,000 just to clean up all the different types of vandalism and damage that had actually been done to our public restrooms at our different various facilities.
Brittany, could you bring up the charts on that? I'd like you to see some of the damage that we're seeing, particularly it's gone down at Emma Russell.
Yeah. So we're kind of just trying to chart a path forward. And in talking with staff a little bit, one of the things that I think we should probably look at implementing, and again, this is just broadly for discussion, as a temporary solution, we should look at bringing in more porta potties. Just putting them in closer proximity to the different various fields and areas that we are, having events at, because that was the biggest complaint. Roy West Park did have a porta potty, but it was on the far north side, and whoever the individual was that I was engaging with, they were on the far opposite side of the park. The upside to taking and doing porta potties is if they knock them over, vandalize them, we just make a call. It becomes somebody else's problem, and they come out and give us a brand new unit. Long-term wise, I think if we're going to have major activities, the likes of, say, Roy Days or other big events at the actual parks, I believe, I can't speak definitively, but I think the public restrooms are all restored and in working condition. We have just opted to take and lock them. We have gone through and made quite a bit of investments in terms of cameras, in terms of electronic locks on the doors. And so one of the other things that I'd kind of also come up with was taking the gas station approach, to where you would have to come to staff, request a restroom key, they would take and provide you that, and then you would turn around and use that and provide that back to staff at the end. So again, just kind of want to put that out to the broader council and just kind of workshop it and see what, if any, suggestions you guys had as well.
So
Comments on this, council?
So I talked with a girl that I know that I coached in high school, and she runs the IT for Ogden City. I emailed to Matt everything the Ogden City. There's more is the homeless problem there. They've gone through a few different resources of different things that they've done, and they're going to a new one, and it alerts, like when someone walks in the bathroom, a motion sensor, and it alerts their policeman that can be there, a quick response, has motion sensor, they take pictures, they have cameras.
We do that
and,
already as well. We've already invested in that technology.
But this is more intense, right, Matt?
Yeah, it's not in all, we have it at Emma Russell mainly, and then 6,000. It's not in all of our parks.
Not in all the
Right,
parks
and
out there.
then, I mean,
And it's similar technology, a different company is what I found out that we have.
right.
But we don't subscribe to a lot of the
Alerts.
Being and
the other
don't have
things
an
that it comes
alert
with.
when-
Yeah, we don't have the alerts. We have the camera, we have the badge access, the automatic locks, things like that.
Yeah, and are the automatic locks on Emma Russell too?
They are at Emma, and then also that bathroom on 6,000
And
and
so
DRG.
automatic
Would you-
locks, that
would you
means
turn
it
next
gets turned
slide?
off at what
You
time?
can see those locks.
Sorry.
What times that get turned off
I
and
believe it
turned
was
on?
8 o'clock. I could be mistaken, though.
So, I hate those porta potties. I know, because they have those down at Sandridge Park, and my granddaughter plays softball down there, and I'd rather hold it than go and use one of those. But that's just my own opinion. But I'm very frustrated with this.
Oh,
I
100%.
to see the damage. I just can't even believe. I want to catch these kids that do this and find something else to do. I just wish we could come up with a system that we could be alerted and we could be down there and we could catch them, and maybe put up posters or something, like a metal sign, $500 reward for anybody caught vandalizing. I mean, kids will turn in anybody for $500, in my opinion. And I thought if we maybe had a reward system for vandalism, maybe that could help also. That kids would start turning on their friends, or if they saw it and anonymously, I don't know. I just feel that I thought that the bathrooms were open for Memorial Day, not March, because of the freezing. I thought they were Memorial Day till Labor Day, the bathrooms, but they're opened in March.
I'm only going off of what staff told me, and that staff may or may not be stepping to the
I'm
mic.
stepping to the mic.
All right.
Usually they're opening, they used to open sometime around April. Staff was told last year, I believe, to open them earlier for certain events, so they were de-winterized. We had a much milder, there you go,
Yeah.
spring. So we did open them earlier in March last year, but that was kind of a fluke.
Yeah, so I guess it just depends on the weather. So, I don't know. Well, I don't
Okay,
know
other
what to think.
thoughts, council? Let me just point out a couple of things. And to your point, the slide on the left shows the electronic locks on the Emma Russell restrooms, both the men and women's on that side. I will tell you, and I pointed out where the camera is. You see the camera up on that pole where the light is? That is actually on the east side. The doors to access the restroom are on the west side. You cannot see with that camera who enters that. You can certainly see if they were walking around the building, I suspect, but you certainly would not be able to see them accessing the west side of that restroom where that camera is sitting.
Isn't there a camera on the west side in the parking lot?
Yeah. I mean, we can throw all kinds of high-tech equipment at it. I mean, police has their, what's your cameras that I'm thinking of?
Flock.
The Flock. I mean, that will track anybody and everybody that walks in or out of the park, takes high-resolution pictures of them, goes through, and if we do detect vandalism, we can blast that out to everybody, you know, in terms of alerts. But again, it's just.
I mean, definitely the porta potties is a temporary
Yeah.
until we can figure something out. I don't know.
But you recognize the fact is that we've spending $12,000
That's
last
just
year.
last year. And that doesn't even include what we're taking and spending on cameras and on the technology and the connectivity to take and manage all that.
And if you look at Emma Russell, the external portion of Emma Russell has not been fixed. Those soffits are still damaged, okay? The rain gutters are still damaged. The downspouts in there are gone. Vandalism, and by the way, all the lights, the security lights all around it are broken out.
Some of that was done last summer because I was down there walking and actually called Matt and you called the police chief and met down there because there were some kids up on top of the roof, and I reported them that they were down there. So some of that was done last summer.
Yeah. I guess my comment is, and this is the harder
Doesn't
part
make
of
it
the
right,
conversation is, Officer Smith, give me an idea. So what? Let's assume the for a fact is you put a police car and you capture someone knocking out a window in a restroom. What's the chances of us doing anything about it?
We can catch him, we'll charge him. We've only made 2 arrests in the last year. That's when all the damage to the bathrooms at West Park was done. And it was the cameras that caught him. You know, we got great photos. The photos were put out within 24 hours. Somebody ratted out their buddies. Said, yeah, I know exactly who that was. And they were arrested with felony charges. To this day, I don't know what's happened to those 2 kids. But we need the information. That's the only way we can act is on information. So,
unless there's a mechanism in play by which you can hold somebody accountable, and I don't care if it's the parents, our hands are tied here. And man, I couldn't be more frustrated by this thing. I mean, nothing would make me feel better than to get a report back that the 2 people we caught and have witness that we in fact caught and evidence that we caught them, that the courts basically leveraged some penalty, okay, against those children.
as of today, I looked up both those names before coming in here, and so far they're not through the system yet, so.
Well, I know my grandkids some of them live in South Ogden, and my daughter-in-law had my grandkids at the park, and they would run them to the bathroom and said closed from vandalism. And so they barely made it to their house.
Yeah.
And so, like when we have games at at Sandridge, you have to either walk to Sandridge School or use the porta potty. So, don't you think putting maybe a reward for vandalism, if we could post?
Well, and again, with this is just addressing what is done at Emma Russell. And again, there was vandalism that was done at the cemetery.
Yes, I know.
And I did not want to bring those pictures in and put
Right.
them in the public record because.
Right, but I just think nowadays, if you put out a reward and, I don't know, they'd have to have proof, but
Yeah.
but kids usually when they do stupid things like that, put on TikTok or take pictures because they want to show their friends, look what we did. And I think there's a reward. I think kids would maybe, I don't know, we could try it. I don't know what to do.
Might be able to help us catch them. One of the problems is collecting the restitution from the damages.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we might potentially be out more money. The prosecution of it is a real challenge as well. Oftentimes these kids, it's really a slap on the hand. There's nothing that really happens to them
Right.
due to this type of behavior. So that's another real challenge that we have.
So, Council, what do you want to do? We are now entering our peak season. We're going to get into the kids will be out of school. We got lots of sports programs. I promise you, when I was there in Emma Russell on Saturday, those fields were packed. Got a lot of activity, a lot of people. How are we going to take care of this? We got a whole summer and fall coming at us, and we got to do something to help our residents and our people who are performing the sports to have access to restrooms. What do you want to do?
To have them open just during, we'll say, peak hours, is that, as far as staff, is that even feasible?
To have it open for peak hours with the automatic locks, it's more feasible. They are expensive. We do have to have internet there, and we do have to have power there as well. To have staff go around and do it, I believe the number we pulled was $12,000 for last year or something. To have staff go and just lock up and unlock the bathrooms.
So on the ones that are electronic, like I know this Emma Russell is, I don't know how many others are. What's the expense to update them to electronic to where, and I don't know the system, but can they be programmed to come on and off?
Yes, they can.
Well, that
Yeah,
would
and
be a
there is
one-time.
challenges with that as well, as when they're programmed, there could be situations where people could get locked in there or something.
Right.
And they do like to clear them out. Like, let's say there's somebody sleeping in there or something like that. They like to clear the bathrooms out, making sure they're clean. And that's something that they do in the morning when they unlock, is they make sure they're clean as well. And so there's that kind of stuff with the automatic locks. Here in the city, it seems like a couple $1,000s per lock, Mark. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So it's something that we can definitely consider. I like the idea of it, but it does have to have that internet access. The best thing that we've done there is just having the hot spots and stuff at the location.
Maybe if they're closed more and more citizens are frustrated, that
They would keep
they'll
their eyes out.
maybe, more action, and they'll, I don't know what to do about it. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, Council, would you consider maybe getting together with some expertise? Certainly the police department has some real insight. I think, Matt, you probably can help other resources and get a couple of council members to sit in a room and maybe come back to the city council and staff with some recommendations how we move forward.
Sure.
I'd be curious to ask a question. It might be putting somebody on the spot. Michelle, have you dealt with this in Layton? And have you seen it in Layton? Are there some things that Layton did? I don't know if that's appropripiate, but
welcome to the party.
you were sworn in, so you're still here, so I'm going to ask questions.
Brody, too tall.
It'll pick you
It's
up.
definitely not a unique problem to Roy. We for sure have this going on in Layton. The solution that we've come up with there is we are doing the automatic locks, working on getting internet to each of the park sites, and they open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. Those park sites that don't have the internet or the automatic locks yet, we do have staff that are going out to those. The one thing that you guys didn't mention was inside the restrooms, we have motion detectors. So we are doing the alert system that Ann talked about. And it's just been in the test phase right now. So our Parks and Rec director and Parks superintendent get those alerts. And we got them up at Greyhawk Park earlier, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the law enforcement was able to respond and catch some kids that had climbed in and opened a window that had been left cracked open. They caught those
the
kids.
alerts are more intended for after hours when it's not open.
Oh, yep, so the alerts come on when the locks are engaged. That way you hopefully help stop the transients from sleeping in there also.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Ogden City. When I talked to Ashley last night, she said that they had motion censored inside also because of all the people that would break in and then with the locks, and so
should
it's
we
worked really well for them. And I sent all of the information and the company they use and the company they're going to use in the future that they're just getting ready to do for all of Ogden City restrooms. I sent all that information to Matt. So
Okay.
I'm
Michelle,
wondering-
thank you for the input. Go ahead.
I'm wondering if we can put the whole, the little signs that say "Smile, you're on camera" to deter. Like they say that if your home has some sort of a security system signage, you're less likely to get hit. Could you do something that says something like that?
Yeah.
To where,
Try that out, and we can all. I
You're on
suggest that we
camera.
get. Yeah, you're on camera. We can start getting prices out for the internet and different door mechanisms and motion detectors.
Yep.
I mean, the
And
parks
see
are
what
some
that
of the
extra
greatest
cost would be.
assets we've had as a city. We're trying to figure out a way to protect them and keep them, to be able to be used and family friendly and.
Yeah.
I mean, because this is, we're going to be like delayed in the interim because we're going to have to get pricey and we're going to have to build it all out. Do we,
Correct, yeah.
as an interim solution, throw more porta potties at the problem just so people have? I know you don't like it, Ann, but again, this
So you
is
gotta have somewhere to go.
exactly.
So
And-
Well, and the only people this hurts is the families that are coming during the
Right.
day. The kids
Correct.
that are there at night aren't using the bathroom.
no.
yeah, they'll just go in the
So-
weeds.
Well, okay, council, great conversation. Randy, from your perspective, you championed putting this out there. What do you think we need to do next?
I definitely think we should probably, as an interim solution, let's throw porta potties at the problem. And hopefully people don't throw said porta potties. And then we'll go through and we will, assess what the cost would be to outfit motion detectors inside and maybe like right directly as somebody's trying to go into the facilities, and that way we can have those go off after hours if somebody does.
And will
actually-
you add signs?
signs?
So are you saying we're gonna close all the bathrooms and
They're
put
already
out porta?
closed. They're already closed.
So all of them are not working?
None of them
in
are
the-
open right now.
Yeah, but when they open, are they any of them usable right now? Or are they all vandalized and none of them work?
I think most of them are operation.
They're all
yeah,
functional.
So we're just
We're
if
just
they're-
preventing vandalism until we can figure
Until
out
we
the
can
problem.
figure out a
Because you can
solution.
see that they're
It doesn't
taking
matter, yeah.
Okay.
every aspect they can to beat the schnoz out
So
of the
just put a
buildings.
couple porta potties per park
Yeah.
until Roy Days, or I don't.
We can.
Yeah. We'll
hopefully
have some
not that
big
long,
grand
but-
announcement and be like, hey, congratulations. We will now notice when you walk into the bathrooms more frequently. So
Well, let me offer a suggestion, because there sounds like, Matt, there's some unique opportunities here. Would two of you would consider volunteering to just put a little group together, bring the experts, and having a conversation on this issue?
yes.
If you want two council members, I mean, I'm the liaison over Parks and Rec, so I can.
Yeah. And I
me.
understand the technology side of it too. So
Okay?
Yeah,
And
Go
you
ahead.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think the action from this would be is temporarily we'll continue dealing with the porta potties. And then Joe, you and Randy will get together, work with Matt, work with Brody, work with Michelle, work with our police department with some ideas of how we can get our arms around this and see if we can move forward. You okay with that?
Yeah, but how
I
much
just
are
wanted
the
to
porta
ask Ann,
potties?
did you really want to be a part of? I don't want
yeah.
to step on your toes.
No. I mean, if
Okay.
you're the Parks and Rec, I
I don't know.
I mean, I can always have my friend come and do a presentation too that does it for Ogden City
Yeah.
if we needed that. But so how much are the porta potties? And do they come once a week and clean them out? Is that how that goes?
I think it's
or-
all dictated by contract, so I've never actually rented one myself.
I mean, I know we're doing it currently because, like I said, there's one at Roy West Park or two now, I guess. Somebody said that they added another one.
Okay.
Okay?
I can always find out from Mike Pusey. I'm sure he knows the cost
Yeah.
because we pay for them ones at Sandridge. So
Okay, we'll take that as an action and move forward with it. Okay, thank you. We got one more. Before we get into the last piece of this, hours of operation on the splash pad. Matt, you're going to talk to us about that?
Yeah, we just wanted to get some feedback and some opinions from the council of what we should be doing with our splash pad this year. Last year, because of the water situation, we did not have it in operation. And the year before that, with the water conservation efforts, that we were turning it on around 11 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Was just wanting to get some suggestions by the council. We do have it scheduled to go into operation holiday to holiday this year, but we were wondering about what hours would you guys suggest that we take that?
I think the 11 to 8 was great. I thought 9 was way too early.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11
I don't
to
think
8.
anything before 11.
Okay, perfect.
Did we ever invest in where it can turn off and on by the press of a button?
It actually does, yeah. So it's only operational when somebody pushes the button.
Okay.
But we can control that the button doesn't work
Yeah, that's
at that early hour.
Right.
So
It has to be activated.
it has to be activated by the button. And then it goes for so many minutes and then turns off.
Okay.
Yep.
Council, you okay with that?
Yes.
Everybody? Okay. You okay, Matt? You got clear direction
Yep.
on that? Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, city manager and council report. Matt?
Okay, perfect. I'm going to turn this on. People keep on telling me my microphone doesn't work, so hopefully this works better. Just wanted to report that the electrical and water has been taken care of at George Wallen Park for Roy Days, so we're all prepared for that. So big thank you to the people at Public Works. Also, Public Works has fixed the fountain on 5600, so that pump is now working. We still need to connect with the property owners on the easements and things like that, and who's going to be taking care of that area. Also, on June 1st, for 105 days, UDOT is contracted to repave 1900 West. We have talked to them about starting at Midland Drive, so they'll be hopefully completed by Roy Days. We have had this happen before, but we have the parade for Roy Days. So they're going to be starting down here, but it's going to cause, obviously, congestion and construction issues.
Will it all be shut down completely, or just down to one lane at a time? Or?
I'm not exactly sure, but they typically like to pave at night, and I'm assuming they'll do the same thing. So they're going from Midland all the way into Clearfield with that.
And then how
project.
long did they say they thought that would take?
The contract's for 105 days.
Wow.
But that goes, across county lines as well.
Yeah.
But starting in
to
June.
where, man? Clearfield to where?
Midland
Drive.
All the way Midland?
Here in Roy, yeah. And then also on June 5th, our Public Works Department will need to close down 6000 South by the railroad tracks. We have a PRV pit that needs to be installed. That's a pressure release valve for our water department. We'll
6,000? All of 6,000 from 19 to 35, or?
Just more you just won't be able to connect all the way down through the corridor.
Oh, okay.
So just in a certain area, but people will have to avoid the area. There'll be places, alternatives and things that will set up that diverts you over to 5600, but the residents will be notified of the construction as well. I have been working with Just Serve for the day of service, August 26th. All the stakes in Roy have agreed to do that date. As you know, we usually do that in Roy City and then let the residents use the aquatic center for free. So we're planning on doing something like that. We've talked to staff today about coming up with different projects.
What day was that?
The 26th of August. It's usually the last Saturday. We also have
What time does that normally start?
Usually at 9 o'clock. Yeah. They have a meeting next month that they would like to go over the different projects, the different proposed projects that we can come up with and have the area authority approve those projects for them all. So we're working toward that. Also, we feel it's important to have a budget work session. We need to have the budget work session before the adoption, obviously, and that would be the second meeting in June. So we wanted to get some ideas from the council of when would be an appropriate time to be doing that. I know that we have some issues the next council meeting with some people being out of town. I have a vacation scheduled as well, but we wanted to get some ideas from the council of when you would like to partake in that meeting.
Availability, I think Joe, Paul, and I, you're remote. Yeah, we're both in Florida.
I'm in Florida the week of the 6th, so that council meeting, I don't know if I'm going to be able to remote in. There's a good possibility because of the conference I'm at, I may not be able.
Yeah, I'll be able to remote on
It's
the
2
6th.
hours difference. I'm going to try, but I won't know till I'm there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gone that whole week. So the next week is the week in between council meetings. Is that enough time if we did it on a Tuesday?
That would be the week right before the adoption, which we could do if you guys all felt comfortable about it.
Yeah,
there's also next week if we wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I know. What's that? Oh, we do have planning commission on the Tuesday. Also, you run into a lot of graduations next week as well.
Next
Roy
week's
High
bad for me.
is
So.
Monday. Yeah.
What about the 30th?
No, that's what I was.
We can do
pushing
it
for.
downstairs.
Next.
You're
Tuesday.
referring to May 30th?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there shouldn't be any meetings because that's
the fifth Tuesday
It's a fifth
of the month.
Tuesday.
That's the week that I'll be gone. Not saying that I have to be there.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to say I don't need you, but do I need you?
I don't know.
I'm just we have Brody and we have Amber. Amber's the one that has to figure and make everything balanced.
Are you?
Oh, you?
Oh.
I see what you did there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amber.
You're gone that whole week?
Yes.
Yeah.
What about the 23rd?
May
I'm
23rd?
in Canada.
What day is that?
That's a week from today, but that would butt
That's
up against
graduation
planning. Yeah,
week.
that's
Oh,
graduation
that's
and planning
22nd.
commission.
Well, Monday's the 22nd is graduation, and then I've got something on the 23rd, but I can't.
Yeah, I don't.
haven't written it down.
I think I'm Yeah, the 23rd to be rough because I'm
And we don't want to wait till the 6th? Is that what?
the
Or
6th.
you're gonna be gone too?
Joe, well, I'm going to be remote, but I
And
can
then
dial in. But Joe would
13th?
I don't know if I'd be able to.
13th.
The 13th could work.
But that
but
only
it
gives
gives
us
a
a week if we needed to really shift.
Okay,
anything
does it
around.
have to be a Tuesday? Can we call another meeting to another?
Any,
Right.
yeah,
Absolutely.
since there's question about whether or not we can even meet it'll have a full quorum on the 6th. We can pick any day. We just have to go through the announcement process that works for you. Really make sure we understand. As much as it'd be great to have Matt, part of it, this is the city council
Yeah.
reading now the budget and saying I have some questions I need to ask. Those questions may very well be directed to department heads.
Yeah.
And it will be the department heads probably answering, or Amber answering the questions that you have. But the important thing would be is on the 20th, on the 18th of June, got to get my dates. On the 18th of June, we've got to put a budget in front of you, and you've got to be ready to approve it.
You mean the 20th of June?
20th of June.
20th of June.
20th of June.
So everybody's available on the 30th except
Yep.
for Matt?
Yes.
What if we did the 30th, and if
And
we
ask
had to, we could
questions.
have a follow-up?
Well, yeah, yeah. Third, I mean, again, we're.
Are you back on the
Amber, do you
6th?
really need Matt? Or are you just being like tongue in cheek? Be sure.
Well, the key would be is that if there's a specific question that Amber and other department heads can basically answer,
That still gives us time to get
then
Matt.
they can come back to you
come back
directly
and-
with the
yep.
response,
Yep.
if you want to do it on the 30th.
Yeah.
Council?
30th.
Let's do the 30th.
30th.
Okay. Everybody said 30th. Matt, would you work that? Brittany?
I will.
Let's plan for that.
Evening, yeah.
Yeah, evening, 4:30, 5, whatever time works for you best. It'll be called a special work session, and which is fine. All we have to do is go through the announcement
Okay,
process.
so Brittany will just text us what time then, when you figure it out?
Send a calendar invite out.
Okay.
Okay?
I just have an appointment that morning, but as long as it ain't then.
All righty. Thanks for bearing with me. We do have just about as many lifeguards as we did last year currently. We have one more class that we're planning on doing on the 30th, trying to get 12 more guards. As you recall, last year we didn't have enough guards to do Sundays. There is a little bit of a juggle here because if we do open Sundays, you might lose a couple of guards as well. But we are offering another class on the 30th. If you know anybody that would like to be a lifeguard, please let them know about this class. The class will take a couple of weeks. We'll bring this topic back around to City Council just because of the hours of operation, mainly with the Sundays, letting you know how many lifeguards and stuff we have.
So as of now, we're closed on Sundays?
As of now, we have about
Okay.
equivalent of what we had last year. So yes, we wouldn't have
Close on
the amount
Sundays.
to be able to be open. Also, our planning commission did recommend approval for our station area plan. Please check your emails shortly. We're going to be sending that plan around. We're going to need to adopt that within the next month. We would like to have that sometime in June. So, and then also last but not least, the Arts Council is looking to purchase some fans. So our suggestion would be is taking that out of council contingency. They did buy a couple of flags with the budget that they did have. Those fans would be around $800. We're excited about the concerts in the park, so.
Like the ones
maybe
you
we
had
could-
last year? Okay, I love those. My wife wanted one and she didn't get one. So as long as, okay, that's my only contingent.
I mean, they could be used for
Oh,
not
yeah.
only that, but if they could be used like at Roy Days or stuff like that,
Well,
or they just,
yeah. They're not.
Oh.
They're when I.
Yeah,
this
they're
is the
hand
type
fans,
of. They're
not
hand
like
fans, not blow
freestanding
fans.
fans.
I was like, what are you talking about? We
Yeah.
didn't know.
I
There.
was-
Thank you.
I was
Those,
thinking-
those.
okay.
Yes.
So we
It's
do
good to
have the
a
money
visual.
in the
I'm-
council
I'm thinking
contingency.
fans.
In fact, can I borrow that right now? I'm just.
I think the
Yeah.
secret here is you okay to
Oh.
take legislative discretionary funds and allow the Arts Council to go forward and get that done?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay? Matt,
Perfect.
you got a green light?
All righty, and I think that's it for me.
Okay. Council, do you have anything else you'd like before I share a couple of thoughts? Okay, hearing none. Let me just walk through a few things. These are actions that have taken place that you have got up over the months in terms of issues that brought up in the city council. Let me just share a couple of things. The 6th of June at 5 p.m. at the Hope Center, UDOT will have Meet the Contractor Night. Let me repeat that. That's 6th of June at 5 p.m. at the Hope Center. Brittany, I think, has a schedule from 5 to 7. I think that's the time.
And we have council.
We have council.
During that
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
but the public will be allowed to go into that meeting and talk to the contractor about what's going on with 5600 and the I-15 interchange. So please get the word out. Very important that the public knows that's there. We're certainly getting information that'll come out to the public week through our sources, but you can help in that process. We got a concert in the park. Marge can certainly talk to that, but the first one begins on 8th of June. So those are free to the public. That's a Thursday. Kind of excited about this, a Thursday. So obviously there'll be 6 of them. They're scheduled, 6 events. But the 8th of June, the Thursday night, we'll have the concert in the park. I've seen some brochures that I believe that Brittany has. We can certainly get some of that information out.
What time does that start? 7?
Put them on Thursday night because the library will be open with bathrooms.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we now have restrooms, Randy, okay?
To say, yeah. Well played.
Okay. The sewer problem, according to a report I just got, the fire station on 1900's had a sewer problem for a while. It's obviously in work, chief. We certainly are encouraged by solving that. I'm embarrassed, to be honest with you, the fact it's been going on for so long. But we're excited. We're going to hopefully get something resolved there and get our team back into the game. Memorial Day service at the Roy Cemetery on the 29th of May. There will be a little flag ceremony, but more importantly, we're going to invite the public, and certainly you're welcome, to go out there and place flags on all of the veterans' graves in Roy Cemetery. If you'd like to join us, I'll get you the time. So they have a meeting tomorrow night, and we'll get the time of when that's going to happen, but plan on the 29th of May. That's a Monday. Haven't got the time yet, but it'll be at the Roy Cemetery.
It's at 8, it seems like.
Yeah, it's early in the morning. We get in there, we get done, and we get those flags. And it's really an enjoyable opportunity for young children who may not really make a connection to what Memorial Day is all about. And having the flag and go out there and placing the flags on those crosses that are just scattered throughout there is kind of a real important part about celebrating that particular day. Title 10, apologize, Diane should have been here. The Title 10 parking recommendation from the Planning Commission, we're still working on that, and hopefully we'll get some feedback. Even if the recommendation from the Planning Commission is not to do it, we need to bring that recommendation back for the City Council to make a final decision. This is a conversation that we started months ago, and the last piece was a Title 10 parking recommendation from the Planning Commission. We'll keep working that one. A Verizon Tower at the Aquatic Center, we had that conversation, still being worked through, but just recognize it's still being worked through, okay? There's some things dealing with Utah Power, the company, but we're still planning to put that in the parking lot. As soon as we start to see some activity along that lines, we'll pass that along. RFP status on the pickleball courts. I guess I have to Matt, ask you, did we get somebody responding to the RFPs?
Mike's not.
That's not on.
We did reissue that RFP, and it came back last Thursday. Pretty equivalent to what we had before.
Really?
We were looking at a different design of pouring the entire slab together. but it was it was really sixes. So we're looking at doing different things creatively to just do the pickleball courts and then do the concrete ourselves later, or maybe at a later date. But we are having some struggles with it. I plan to get all the information together and bring it back to the city council to see if we're going to reduce the size of the courts or.
Because you know you have
just
that
approve
cement
more money.
donated.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
the cement donated. Piecing that together would be better. That's the idea of putting it toward the cement to connect the sidewalks and things like that. So really what we did is took a lot of those sidewalks out with this RFP so we could do those later. But fences and things like that, we try to minimize it. The lights were taken out of the RFP. They were optional before, but we could do them ourselves at a later date. So we've been really trying to be creative, but prices just haven't came down. One of the things with Hooper City, that's where we got excited. A lot of that project did not include the price of the pickleball court, just the surrounding areas. That's what we found out. So
Oh, wow,
Interesting.
because that sounded like such a
it's
deal.
that, it's the cement and the things to make it so it doesn't crack.
Well, we've got a couple of people that will donate fence too, so,
Yeah,
right. So.
but yeah, and the concrete's quite a bit of money to have that type of engineered mud with the
Yeah.
reinforcement and stuff. So
Okay. Thank you, Matt. We're still working the dead trees of Sandwich Park. We'll reach out to Weaver School District. They're responsible to take those down. We'll see if, in fact, we can get that done. And then Brody's been working the Roy Day cleanup. There has been some projects where people have reached out, had interest. Also, people have indicated to the city they need some help. So we'll keep pushing the cleanup program in Roy City. Last but not least, I'm going to fall back on the 1900 West repaving. As you well know, that's a major project. I certainly was in the council when we had a little debate going in terms of whether or not we can get that done before Roy Days. That's a big issue. That's a main corridor. And if it runs from Clearfield all the way to Midland, I'm telling you, we have enough traffic challenges, okay, on 1900 and 5600. This is going to compound it.
Overnight?
They'll do some of that in the
typically
middle of the
do, yeah.
night.
And do they start in Roy and go to Clearfield, or Clearfield and go to
we're
Roy?
going to go Clearfield to Roy, but we talked them into going the other way.
Oh, good.
The most important thing is awareness. Brittany, if you can, Matt, if you can, we've got to get as much information as we can on this and get it out to the public. They just need to know it's coming so they can plan for it, okay? If you can help us with that. And as you may be aware, they're still working 4,000 in 1900, so there's some activity going on down there to fix that. So it's just going to be a little congested in Roy with, and by the way, June, they start doing the I-15 flyover efforts they're going to do with that. And then sometime later this in the fall, they're going to start actually doing the construction work on 5600. So Roy's going to be a little congested for the next couple of years.
I've just been asked by a lot of citizens, please, when they start working on 5600, do not have any projects on 4800 or 6000.
And we have a project on 6,000 that's going to, I recognize the challenge.
Because, yeah.
That's the sad part about winter. Winter is dead time for us, obviously, and the only time we can get. That's why you see the spring, summer, and fall, so many of those orange cones. It's about the only time you can really do any work in Roy, or this actually Utah. So, okay, anything else before I ask for a motion to adjourn?
I was just going to ask, did we get the cement poured at the complex? Is that all done and that's moving along? But
They
part
have
of
made a
it.
couple of pours. They're pouring another one on Monday.
Okay.
So yeah, they're gung
Moving
ho.
along. Have they started taking out the boiler yet? No.
Okay. Well,
Just a quick comment on the water features. I love seeing them on. Thank you for turning them back on. They look nice.
Look good.
It doesn't
That's
look
all Ross.
run down. Thank you. They look very nice.
All Ben.
Well, whoever it looks,
Ben.
it looks good. It does look good.
Did you talk to the owners of So Delicious
I have
yet?
not
No?
gotten a hold
Okay.
of them yet,
So that one's turned on too? I don't ever take that exit,
Yeah,
so.
they are.
I know the one in Harmon's is.
They're
so.
both on, and they look nice. They look very
So.
nice.
perfect.
There was some comments about putting them on timers. They have to both be primed. So in order to turn them on and off, an individual has to go prime that pump.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would burn up. So it'd
Yeah,
probably be cheaper.
and it's
just to-
recyclable, so,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Well, thank you, council. We're going to obviously have work session right after this downstairs. So therefore, do I have a motion then to adjourn, Joe?
So moved.
See how I did that? Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ann. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll adjourn and we'll meet downstairs in about 10 minutes. Thank you.
That was your night.